All right, welcome everyone to our July working session. Let's go and get started. So old business home rule charter update. I need an update. Does anyone have an update? Go ahead.
Anything? I just have a request from somebody who was interested that they'd like to know what they would be volunteering for.
Sounds good. So that flyer, with PDF, we'll send them the PDF.
That's true, that has a link that explains the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, spectacular. Yeah.
DCD publication.
Those are, yeah, they're really good. Yeah.
We'll get you that flyer and you can send it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll probably 50 copy of that.
Yeah.
I need it.
Okay.
Okay, so
We forward it to all.
yeah,
Yeah, then we can send it out along the lines.
to anyone.
And I was saying, I was saying to Luke, I think that Democratic Committee, Republican Committee should get this stuff out to their folks. They're the most active and they're the ones that are most likely to get signatures and actually get involved. So
Yeah.
that would be.
Whoever wants to do it, I will help them get signatures.
Yeah. Yeah.
180.
Besides me, any other council people jumping into the?
So there were like 4 people
Yeah.
signed up. I don't know how serious they were. Part of it was a competition and whatever you felt compelled to sign up.
I'm serious, so let's continue to feel compelled to sign up.
So, yeah, just 4 people.
Yeah.
So we did have a booth tent with like a table.
Yeah.
Got to explain to quite a few people. There were, one thing I did notice, there were a lot of non-Breakfast Park people present. You know, people that came to a festival, which is great, so word is spread.
Yeah.
From Cranberry, Robinson, so all over, visitors from out of town, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all I have on that.
Can I raise one issue on?
Go for it.
You know, I was thinking about this more as I read the agenda. I know when we talked about this 6 months ago or so for the first time. We talked about listing all the advantages of home rule versus the current borough. And the ones that still stick in my mind was potentially stormwater, authority, if we wanted to do that, and the stormwater on state-owned roads. But I guess short of that, I can't maybe I'm just forgetting them, but what are the other significant advantages that we could get from this? Again, that's looking way down in the
Yeah.
future. First of all, we have to agree that it even makes sense, and I think that's the first step we're taking. But if we agree it does, I think the question is gonna jump out is what do we hope to accomplish at the end?
Of course, yeah, I think part of the study is to, I imagine at the end, the deliverable will be, these are the pros, why we should do it. But keep in mind, these are the cons, but why we should not do it, so. I think for the cons, we talked to Homewood. Can't remember which you, was it Homewood that did it, or Brad, was it Brad that did it? Yeah, they did not really convey any cons to doing this, if anything, they mentioned there are pros on their end. Pros seem to be the ability for the borough to self-regulate fees. Doesn't mean they can impose more fees, but it seems like right now the flexibility, we omit flexibility in how our fee structure is set. Right now, it seems the only real revenue generators that we have are property taxes. So we could not do anything such as alleviate property tax burden in lieu of other revenue sources, like we have hotel, car wash, et cetera. We can take the canvas or other municipalities, and they have fees associated with like certain usage. Seems like right now we can't do anything.
I think the general explanation I heard is when you're home rule, it tells you what you can't do. Instead of as a borough, it tells you what, legislature tells you what you can. So it opens things up.
Much less limited.
Yeah, autonomy is provided back to the borough. It's the other way to look at it. It seems like we're pretty much governed by MCP, MPC, and county. You still would be, but to an extent. Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. I thought about it, and I know we've talked about it several times, in quite a few meetings. We voted on going and putting it and moving forward. But I just want to be 100% sure before and we're going to spend a lot of time on it, getting people on a committee to investigate it, to do all the legwork. And I just want to be extra sure that before we really spend all that effort and time, then we're going to have to I guess, rewrite our whole charter and everything, so I think there's gonna be a significant, investment of legal time and staff time and everything else to pull this off. And if it's worth it, I think we should do it.
Yeah, and in the study would, the 2-year study period would reveal that, as a part of the deliverable or the overall recommendation should be, these are the things associated with the impact, there should be an impact assessment. And I'd imagine the 7 members are having, whoever's involved in this. Like somebody asked, like, what's the expectation? I mean, I didn't know myself personally, hey, you're gonna meet twice a month to like learn everything about home rule charter. I would imagine it's probably like most commissions, meet quarterly, do a little research, homework in between the meetings, and then kind of formulate ideas, before we even move forward. This does not guarantee we even move forward in 2 years.
Yeah, it's like, I look at Frank,
I think you're coming down, yeah.
if you look at Franklin Park with our little, I'll call it commercial section at the top. I mean, compared to Pine, compared to McCandless, compared to Ross.
Yeah.
They have shopping malls and everything else. They have a lot more opportunity to look at some of those businesses and some of those income opportunities to offset property taxes and other things. And while we do have some commercial areas there, many of them are already built out, so I'm not thinking that we have a real huge opportunity for more commercial businesses in the borough.
Yeah, and it may not be to increase commercial business in the borough. It'll be good to, as a part of the study. I'd imagine if you're in a study, you would look at examples, have some examples of what's worked and what hasn't. If Braddock is not in major receivership anymore.
Yeah.
Kind of turn it around. So it's kind of a good case study of how this could work. In the end, it may not be worth our time. It might just be a study, but after 2 years studying this, either.
Maybe it doesn't make sense. I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but we would never get there again, like, the 2-year start. So until you start it, you have no runway. The further you delay the start, the further out it puts the 2-year window. If you're gonna go down this path.
I understand. I'm just hoping that it's even the first step's worth the effort. I mean, which is probably not gonna be very costly on the first phase when you start
Yeah.
doing everything else.
Who's gonna direct the activities of the study? I think it's just self.
Yeah.
To some extent with support, administrative, legal, and others.
Using the VC guide as a guide, probably.
Other site interviews, talk to Braddock, other ones, full sample charters, but they do get first have to sort of understand
The goal.
how the borough code works right now, what we're under, how we operate. Generally, does it make sense to push that aside, start a charter, building it up, and then what types of structures make sense, some with legislative, some with manager, part, administrative, how you do ordinances, how you do budgeting, things of that nature. Things you can't touch, that list of things that you aren't allowed to address, like property assessments. You can't say we're gonna do our own system. It's the county, you really can't regulate businesses. The city of Pittsburgh keeps getting slapped about, saying, well, you have to hire this type of security officers. You have to rental registry. A list of 10 items.
Yeah, but it could be like, yeah, I see this as an educational journey, or that's a first step. I imagine like the first few times this commission meets, it would be learning about what is home rule charter, what's in the marketplace right now, and then just kind of go from there. There are a lot of interesting questions, like, they're asking, does anybody else do this, or are we the only ones, et cetera? So the interest is like all over the place.
Yeah.
I think we should keep an open mind that maybe at the end of the study, maybe it won't make any sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
But nobody's gonna know until we see what they come up with. But I want to keep, I think that is a possibility.
It's possible, that's possible outcome. at the end, it could be, you are marginally gained, that's what I thought. But
At the end, they make a recommendation, it sounds like either accept or modify or reject, or is that correct? Or
I mean, we've been focused so much on just getting this started up. There is that process, there is that report. I believe the question is both study, whether we need one and propose, if so, a charter. The end result, I don't know if that goes back on the ballot for people to vote on. That might be the case for the council.
I think the recommendations that, yeah.
Believe
I
the
think
ultimate,
once
like,
this-
should it doesn't list the entire charter, it just, I think that might be a question.
Yeah, I think again, it's definitely the charter, the full charter wasn't listed, but everybody had access to it if they wanted to read.
And then whenever you want to change it or amend something,
It goes to
it's a
the record.
ballot question. It's not town council.
Right.
Changing, it's your constitution, essentially.
There'll be a line item, a ballot initiative,
Yes.
yeah, that's what we're referring.
And one other thing kind of related to this, I'm being honest, I can't for the life of me remember who I was talking with about 3 weeks ago, so it wasn't this sporty. But they said that the issue with the boroughs not being eligible for PennDOT, or PennDOT not taking care of the storm sewers under the borough, that's been a real squabbling point since PennDOT was founded. So that's, apparently that is going, again, I haven't checked this out, but they said this is going back to the legislature and many times to try to remedy that, because it was just the way you said municipality, but it doesn't specifically say borough.
Well,
The latest amendment I saw floating said boroughs of, I think,
certain size.
3,000 or fewer residents won't have to take care of PennDOT infrastructure, but they're making it smaller.
But it's still, I think, the differentiation between boroughs and townships, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Right.
No.
It's still a state road regardless.
It's a PennDOT interpretation of an old law that they weren't enforcing in the past, but
Yep.
lately they have been.
And it's not to everybody here, so.
Yeah, you have to have the money, they believe, in, like us, and then they.
I guess my point for raising that is, should we be talking to state representatives, state legislatures, state senators, governor, about why are boroughs being penalized?
I mean, it's been going on. I can't remember if we passed a resolution endorsing one of those proposals, not the three
Yeah, the
thousand.
Boroughs Association every year has been going after the numbers.
Yeah,
When we got, I think when Curry came in, we did a letter.
Yeah,
That was one of the top priorities.
My understanding is PennDOT is,
Yeah.
spends a lot of time with the legislature.
The legislature,
They have their.
legislators not gonna say, we'll take one more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, so, I'm just surprised that NESAP has never done some kind of class action too, or something on.
and it was talk. I mean, it got up and so far.
All right, I'm done.
That's an important one. I may not be directly on the rule, but that's an important thing to keep on the back burner. So.
Sure.
Back on Tom's question, though, so when people are asking us, well, should we vote for this on the ballot? Should we vote for this charter or this commission to be formed? What's our elevator speech? What's our,
You may get a lot of good information from that DCD document.
Yeah.
So when I send a flyer to you,
actually, you did send it, or someone sent it before I was looking at it, and it tells about home rule charter, but. Right. So, I mean, I haven't really dug into this, but I guess if we want people to support this.
Yeah.
To even start the commission at all, then we need to have a solid explanation as to why we want to create more government.
I think part of it is, look back, municipalities have gone through it. Large, they are sophisticated, they realized the advantage of this in the 70s when it first came out, so that they weren't dependent on the legislature to change something like this provision. So they took it upon themselves, and it gives, municipalities, and it will give the borough this sort of level of independence, not completely independent, but more of a master of how things operate than being dependent on the state. It is a definitely a local, control to the nth degree. Pennsylvania's are founded on, it's why we have so many boroughs, townships, everything else, but they're all subject to sovereign, and home rule charter is one step away. Appeal to their sense of independence.
Should have been put in July.
Yeah.
Actually, that question came up, so the way, from what all the documents I've read, biggest advantage is providing more governing to the borough. The borough's growing its size, actually gets that 3,000 number, so that's a good one, because the borough has like 16,000 residents. If we were like a 3,000 residents town, it's a little different story, right? A lot of these things may not matter, but when you're this large, we're double the size of the commercial. If I'm not mistaken, they seem to be able to be self-governed by the, that's why they're able to do things the way they want to do things there. So we're kind of limited on what we can do. We're just at the point where we have boroughs ground, we have 50 employees, we're considered at those thresholds, and population size provides a little bit more power to the borough. Right now, I basically last general, just like one liner. We are currently handicapped as a borough. We cannot, a lot of things we cannot do.
That's helpful.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna have material in. I forgot my bag. Put the 4 people at. So, do which we're hesitant. Okay, so the next one is Grease Run Road, White Oak water issue update.
Before you start, we received 2 emails from the property owners impacted in our public comment email. I forwarded those to all council this evening. One of them just has a video attached, one of them has some recording.
This is the first we're talking about this issue.
This is the second time we had a brief update.
We talked about it last time. We thought it's that lengthy pipe that looks like it was put in by the private property owner
Yes.
off of Reach on the road, and it's failing now.
Is this one where we have to check the survey and use ownership?
Yeah, we checked, I checked through that,
Okay,
you
yeah.
got, when we finished out the
Yeah.
last work session, it mentioned that, like me and Tim to check into that, we looked into different areas, I checked all the records that we had. There's nothing showing any easements anywhere, or any pipe was ever put in there. The only thing that I have that shows is there, where an outfall comes off of Reese Run Road. It's right on the, one property owner, I mean, he's got a asphalt driveway, it's going through there now. How many years back this thing was changed, nobody knows. Nobody knows anything about it. Talk to the residents and, they just, nobody knows when this was changed.
So it's stormwater infrastructure under the road that was put in like that. And then the private property owner wanted to develop the property, it looks like piped it in. That pipe is failed.
Does this a private property?
It appears to be a private property issue. We don't have an easement, there's no way of getting in there and doing any maintenance.
Okay, if there's an easement, the borough would be,
There's an easement, that easement would be there for us.
but because there is an easement, it's totally private property. But what are options at this point?
Did you see this video here? Is this the one?
Yes, where the water's come up out of the ground, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah, I'm still pulling up now.
And it's hard to tell what's going on over there. It's plugged up, you can't get a camera down through it, from either end. It's just, like I said,
Whether the property owner who put in the pipe is still the owner of that property or not, I guess we don't know.
I don't think, but it walked to the one resident, they has moved out, it's been, I guess the house has been sold 2 or 3 times over. So 5 acres, it runs back, goes back and butts up against the golf course in the back. And then 5 acres runs parallel with the houses and the housing plan on White Oak.
Yeah, is the property owner just MIA?
No, the property owner's there, but
They're there. Okay.
It's just new on.
I'm sure when they bought the house, they didn't realize they bought a pipe.
Yeah, I think from what I understand, the residents, the people just moved in and out, they've only been there for a couple of years with that in the house, and they have the 5 acres. And then wherever that pipe is run down through there, we have no idea. We have no idea exactly where it's at. There's nothing showing us. There's no basins, there's nothing there. And how, however it gets piped in there, that's back, years back.
So what it looks like is a private property.
Yeah. It's
If we
the,
were to go in and take ownership of that pipe, first of all, it's a lot of pipe, it would be very expensive. But these issues exist all throughout the private property. That, we tend to not be involved.
is the owner aware of any of this?
I don't know if the owner
Is
of
the
the
owner-
property with the pipe.
No, the owner of the pipe, I was not aware of.
Aware. Okay.
The email says that the borough has attempted to patch the pipe a few times.
We had there was a couple leaks coming up, water was coming up on the ground. I sent my guys over to check it, and there was a pipe underground with the collars. There was no collars on the pipe. They patched over that, and it just, ended up happened again further, just so.
It looks like the pipe is coming apart from what we can see. So they try to do a quick fix just to see if they can help the residents. But this is an extensive hundreds of feet of replacement of pipe project.
And if we don't do anything to help them, is that going to be an issue that we already have tried to help it, to fix it?
Can be if it's extensive, became part of our routine maintenance, we were in there, we're checking things, telling people to do something, not do something. We've had instances where, there's an emergency, we go in, we fix it, there was one on further down East Run or so, it came out of some properties. And just in the emergency basis, we fixed it, and then after the fact, realized it was a similar situation. Somebody filled in a stream and piped it. It was outside of the right of way, things like that. So that's not sort of taking on ownership for others. And this is a bit different than, a private road action where we've been paving the road and we've been plowing it. And then there's a question, okay, has it been accepted through that use as opposed to something like this?
In our first response is there something we can do quickly and cheaply that will solve the problem? We don't just look at it and say, oh, it's private, and we walk away.
Right.
We try to do something if we can.
And flooding issues from private property to private property are one thing. There is a provision in the property maintenance code about stormwater issues that create a public nuisance. So if they, are hitting the street, becoming a public nuisance to public infrastructure, an individual can be cited for that, taken to the magistrate. Might be worth considering, is this undermining the detention facility that we own because the water isn't directed? There could be a notice of violation that's sent to the property owners, but that's really just putting it on notice, taking it up a notch rather than the, hey, this is yours. If it is impacting the borough's response, there is an enforcement action, collect fines, to compel somebody to take action that they're reluctant to doing, but we need that nexus with a public nuisance rather than a private nuisance. We have to look into that a little more. I haven't sat down with Gary or Tim and looked at the files or anything else. Sort of pining the fly.
Yeah. I'm not suggesting that that's our solution is to do nothing, but if we get to that point, I'm concerned that might be an issue.
Yeah, so we have a lot of these in the borough, it's not separate.
Yeah,
Wanna-
it's not just pipe, it's issue of somebody living downhill from a neighbor and saying, neighbor's water's running under my property, and it's, you live downhill from it, okay? Water's gonna flow downhill, it's gonna find the low spot. There's nothing we can do about it.
I think that's the issue of they modified something, so. The uphill person modified something out of the actual distance, so they.
It looks like they took one, it's probably an extra swell.
Exactly.
And we can do something if it's new construction up top. It's gone through the permitting process. There's a stormwater operation and maintenance plan. They noticed, they're going to fill in, cover a stream. If we can even do that, there's been some approval. There's a recorded, access easement for the borough to compel somebody to fix it, but those don't exist for anything beyond the last 15 years.
Okay, in this case, when we do here, when it says.
It's like, discussions with the property owner, if we have anything in terms of assessment of what they should do. Put them on notice that it is not a borough line or otherwise, they need to take responsibility.
Property owner.
But
Okay.
the one that is burdened by the,
Okay, so the one that's uphill.
yes.
If I'm looking at this right
Yeah,
on,
good.
on the map, it looks like this is coming off of the house that's directly beside it off the backyard from Reach Run Road, right?
Yes,
It's up above it.
right.
That's coming off it.
I would follow up a Reese Run Road that they then piped in through their property.
Yeah, there's a basin that's coming off right on Reese Run, and that property runs directly down. It's running down, affecting two residents. The one where you're seeing the water coming out of the ground is on White Oak, the other one's on, our Reese Run resident. And it's actually going down, hitting both the properties and then turning, and that's where it's coming out.
You think
As
it's
far as we know, like I said, there's just no actual thing that we can get in there to even prove that that's, exactly what is going on there. Whether there was other pipes added to that, we have no idea because there's just nothing documented anywhere.
I think the other side of Reach Run Road from where that house is, that's uphill.
It's a little bit up above it, yes.
It's up above.
Further up.
Who knows, it could be under Reach, I'm coming from the other state road, right?
State road.
Yeah.
And that's the only two basins that feed that pipe going down through.
Wow. You think, so you're pretty sure there's no way to camera to even. You said, I know
We
you
had,
said-
we had a camera to try to get it down, and it didn't go very far, and the pipes half clogged up to where we seen it, so further down the line, it's completely plugged. It wasn't far off the road before we hit that.
We need to contact the property owner. The uphill property owner and indicate
And
it's not as a violation from our.
it's part of the
But
property
it's-
matter.
yeah, okay,
I mean, it's this property owner is directing the stormwater on
Yeah.
the property, then I think some kind of supervision.
yeah, and then, is there a notice of violation here that the borough sends?
And that's what we would look into it some more, but we need to find a public nuisance nexus not impacting just other private property. Even if it's a couple people, it doesn't.
Yeah,
It doesn't rise,
that's
it's public.
there isn't a public issue.
No,
As it eventually flows down the street.
Yeah.
So
um. Yeah, this might be far fetched, but the public nuisance could be mosquito beds or just standing water. Is there other effects, negative effects?
yeah, if we did that, we'd have the property with a low spot.
Okay, all right. Yeah, just trying to see how we can compel the upstream property owner to
But they would be compelled by their neighbors soon.
sue them, okay, lawsuit.
I mean, if they're not aware of it, and they're made aware of it, they may be.
Okay, yeah, they may not be.
Again, I'm sure they didn't know they were buying it.
Yeah, it probably wasn't disclosed. Fully.
Check there. Agreement of sale, title insurance.
You get the title insurance, what's there? Okay. So from the borough perspective, we just identify the. owner.
Yeah, Gary and I get together next Monday to help us. strengthen this.
Yeah, we should probably send it certified, just make sure. They get it. Okay,
Go back to how each other.
Yeah.
What I just read.
Yeah.
Change. these things.
go ahead.
So from the legislature, the general study commissions, they shall report their findings and recommendations to the citizens of the municipality within 9 months from the date of the election. Except they shall be permitted additional 9 months if they elect to repair and submit or proposed on the chart. That, in the event of that. it's- So
So we'll be-
all 9 months to report back unless they ask for an additional 9. But it would be that if they tend to draft the chart.
If they, okay,
So they 9 months to decide whether they want to move forward.
That,
Right, and they,
That's better than 2 years.
it's better than,
Not for the committee.
oh, okay, yeah.
and then they have 4 options. Hold a referendum to submit the question of adopting one of the optional plans, so effectively.
that's a different section. The optional plans are, they're set up. Yeah,
Well, I see.
manager, you know, mayor, all these optional plans, the total charters, it's a.
So referendum to submit what they propose, that the form of government shall be changed. So
That's it.
Here's what it sounds like. And when you support such other actions, it means provides a consistent with its function and set forth. In this.
Or you can declare a monarchy.
Okay. So 9
So I
months,
think, that, yeah, so the timeline, and they have to be within 15 days.
Yes,
of the
that
election.
is true.
And we-
so November 20, they have to meet by.
Well, they
December.
serve, probably serve. one.
Yeah, it takes.
They gotta meet by like. So
Okay,
first meeting,
Somewhere, somewhere in there.
Thanksgiving issue.
okay, so the first meeting would be then, and then they have 9 months to like hash this out, come up with an outcome and all that stuff.
Yeah, if they're gonna say, we think it's fine, then it's fine.
Yeah.
But if they're gonna propose something, they should.
Okay, so they say it's fine, they're fine, as in some little charter.
No, borough stays.
Oh, okay, all right, status quo. Yeah, then 9 months to say it's status quo, good. Otherwise 9 more months to like figure out the long-term plan. Okay. All right, so should know, be aware of it, that, hey, it's not meeting in January. It's meeting. It's not, well, no, I was gonna say like,
It's all explained, it's only 2 meetings a month.
yeah, I was gonna say like, that's, you're not gonna meet starting January, you're gonna meet sooner. Okay,
Yeah,
Okay.
probably not once a quarter, probably once a month, maybe.
maybe once a month. Okay, all right, that,
At least those sort of-
And we've been job to do to get them on. They need.
Yes.
yeah,
Awesome.
so,
Right.
okay, that's how we get. Depending on the, okay, so we're getting that, back to the freeze run thing. Okay, so we'll notify the upstream owner. If you know, not certified to be awesome. So it makes you seriously, it's IRS and it's certified, so. Okay. And then, or anything else on this one or should we take? Okay, yeah, it's prepared for more. All right, the next item, should be a councilperson for the next term. 24, 25, so Julia is not here. Where's Travis? So we can, yeah, we may proceed. So we had 4 candidates, last month. Tom, I can't remember, were you here?
I wasn't there.
Right there.
I
But you read through the,
I almost sent comments reading them, but
that's okay, yeah.
one thing I was gonna suggest, I guess, would be unless the 3 new ones, if there's not one that we have, that the rest of the council felt comfortable with, I wouldn't recommend Julie otherwise, because, just so we can spread it around. I mean, I like Julie, but
Yeah, yeah.
I would think, why should you do 2 and then you have 3 other people that are working that serve? You only get to do it for one. I mean, most of them are seniors. So I think my recommendation was going to be if I joined the meeting, let's see if we can pick one of the other 3.
Never get through that.
Yeah, I mean, that does make sense. It is a good rotational thing, and it's also for community. I see it as a community outreach extension of the borough, so positive for the borough. I do like the rotation. Okay, so
Yeah.
based on that, Tom, you have what you would want to recommend.
Well, I missed the interview,
Okay.
so I'm probably not,
Okay.
I'm probably not the person to make a job. I mean, I can read the resumes. I know
Okay.
they're, all 3 seem like they have some background. One guy has so many, one person has so many things that you just wonder if they could fit one more in.
Okay.
But that's just from reading. I didn't meet that individual. I have no idea if
Okay.
that's true, but it lists like 4 or 5 pages of every accomplishment.
Understood.
Sometimes those people scare me. You know, you just wonder if there's one more thing you want to put on the resume.
Yeah.
But again, I would defer to everybody that did get the meeting, the candidate.
Yeah, he was definitely impressive, but.
Yeah, that's what I worry about. We'll give it, we have the time.
Luke, do you have of the 3, if you're gonna go the the rotational route?
I think I want to be controversial. I kind of liked Joe's straight B. I think he can learn. I don't know how high we should rank that as criteria.
Yeah.
He seems genuinely interested. He seems like he doesn't have quite as much going on. And it's maybe not a convention thing, but
See them
for some reason, for some reason I was kind of, I don't know, drawn to him. I thought that he could probably gain the most from it.
I'm not gonna vote for it if I was, that was the one that kind of, almost for the same reason, look, we didn't talk about this a lot. And I like the fact that he's not a mortality.
I found like that too. I don't think there's ever been, as far as I've been,
It's always been enough.
it's always been.
And I'm a North Allegheny graduate, so
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah, it's all good reasons. Okay,
But again, I'm not gonna vote on it.
Luke, you are, for Mr. Strand.
I think so, yeah. I mean, I don't think anything we could go wrong with it
Okay,
for some reason, for those reasons. It was just.
okay, Dr. Lee, even though you were not here, did you read through it? Do you have any explanation or?
I kind of have same situations come, so I wouldn't, but I'm just, since that I became like, borough council, and we have had the, junior council person, who are always, I would say, female. So if this time we can pick someone,
I guess that's true, huh?
right?
Opinion.
Yeah, and I would suggest that because I may not want to vote for anyone at this moment, but I think if we have a council person is now that will be probably work great and for it. It was said a good example for future, we can, I don't believe that we should always have female council.
I think in my 6 years, here, we had, first 3 years, we had male council, junior council.
Yeah, Nick and Nate, this is one.
The last 3 have been female.
Um,
So it's changed.
So, yeah,
That is all.
Yeah.
on that.
we had the guy who was always on his phone and arguing notes. Was that negative?
Nate.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you have a person in mind?
No, actually, I was, because,
Okay, take Tom around.
yeah, I agree with Luke, and we have a really good person, but he has too many things, too many activities. He just like,
I didn't meet him, but he literally looks impressive, but.
yeah. Yeah, probably I'll let you guys.
Laura,
I would agree with what has been said so far. We do have some great candidates. I hate to say it, but I would agree that I think Julia, I'd love to have her another year, but we've got some other good candidates, and I think we should give other kids opportunity to do this. I would say the exact same thing that you said about the young man saying.
Joe Strang.
Pretty,
Oh,
not a lot going on. And I also don't know how much this would benefit him. I feel like there's already so much on there. And it's pretty diverse. I mean, a lot of it is similar, but he's got a lot of diverse experience so far. I'm gonna say this and probably disqualify everything I'm gonna say after it, but I'm friends with Mila's mom. But I do think my vote would be for Mila. First of all, the main reason is I think she has some great ideas for community events.
She did.
And I really like the idea of more community events and bringing in young folks to be part of those community events. So for that reason, I would say Mila.
good. Right.
Just completely upended all of my thoughts, so I like Julie a lot, and but I hear what everybody's saying, it's fun to let somebody else have a go.
I like
at it.
Julie lots.
Yeah. And so to the extent I'm letting somebody else have a go at it, I want to make certain that who's having a go at it gets the most benefit from it. And out of all the candidates, I thought that, Mr. Strano was the one that would, I mean, he's so unusual in his presentation was, he's not collecting a bunch of stuff from what I can tell, and it seems like he seems genuinely interested in it, and I am fascinated with the fact that he's North Catholic and not North Allegheny, even though all of my kids are in North Allegheny. I think that's, I don't know if it's advantage or disadvantage, but I didn't know that we should disqualify people if they're in Franklin Park Borough and they want to, but they want to participate, so. I did have a thought when he was presenting that maybe he's involved in sports where he might not be able to make some of the meetings because of the meets or we're having to travel or whatever, but we didn't really collect that information at the time.
I think I did ask,
Yeah.
first and third Wednesdays.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my,
So this is gonna make it interesting. I'm actually, so I do agree with, having rotation, having another person try, I mean, the purpose of the role is to, one, encourage more citizenship in, like municipal government. So I do feel like having rotation, having a different person every time, is a good part of that strategy. And it's not a paid position, it's not an empty position or anything like that. So I do feel having, fresh rotation is positive. I did like, Mr. Oki's background. However, I do know it's not going to benefit him, based on what I'm seeing, and also like just the mix. And I also like to see like what, we ask a question, what do you bring to the community? What's your project? What are you looking to solve? I do feel Mila had something in box. I will say like my top two candidates for, Mila was one of my top candidates, not that it was fun. But when you talk about the community project, yes, Five Plains or Mila had a very constructive answer, or a creative answer. And it is good to get more engagement, civic engagements. So my vote is for Mila. So that is 2 for Mila and 2 for Joe. How would we like to?
You people, you're going something.
Or would you like to lobby our colleagues?
I still have the two that.
Tom, I should have known you. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to argue against Joseph Strano because he did seem eager to learn. But again, I'm gonna go hard with the community events. I think Neela came in with a couple of opportunities and she brings in her own activities that she's already involved in that we can integrate into community activities. I also think in her resume, she doesn't have, get back up to her. She doesn't have a whole lot of stuff that echoes what she would learn here, if that makes sense. She's been doing different stuff. And I think being in a government role, she could learn more about government processes and how, basically how the government functions. I think based on her experience so far, she has experiences that this would most benefit.
Yeah, I just want to, that's kind of what I felt, just picking up what Laura just said. I mean, she has some things laid out. It's hard to get a platform to, sell ideas or sell things like events. And I kind of feel like there's a good connection here between the borough and her. That's kind of the impression I got when she had interviewed. So that's my picture of me.
I mean, kind of pulling me in is your connection to the community and having an existing platform to bring in other folks that might necessarily be participating on. I might be inclined to lean that way from what I'm hearing. Your reasons are persuasive enough for me. I would lean towards, based on what you highlighted.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm quite on.
I don't think it can go wrong either way, but
Yeah.
and
Okay.
I get the point of the existing platform.
Okay. So sounds like we were doing Mila.
So
Right.
Looks like those two only live like 6 hours before.
I like to visit with each
was
other.
that right?
Yeah.
Both on Stokely.
Oh, yeah, they did that. So.
Can you send a letter?
Yeah.
Okay. And then for the ones we did not select, I don't know if the borough does this, but do they get a letter as well, or? Yes. Just want to add if they wanted feedback. Maybe. So, Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right, cool. So, on a new business, review the July 17th regular schedule.
Right, quick turnaround this month. We do have a number of public hearings scheduled. Look to the second page, first and foremost on the Saldo amendment on trees and wooded areas. Have advertised that for potential actions, so depending on comments. You have a motion number 4. Could adopt the ordinance. If you decide to not act on that, otherwise table it, send it back to the land use committee. Things of that nature. If there are any substantive changes to the ordinance following the public hearing, we have to have another.
We did send out letters, approximately 100 letters to property owners with a copy of the ordinance and inviting them to attend in person via Zoom or so the comments can go in front of the public comment.
And then, can't remember the last one we did with these. Technically, this is a Sunshine Act public comment, so we put a 3 to 5 minute time limit or so. But we would encourage them to be succinct. If somebody says what they were already gonna say, just say ditto. Somebody have monopolized that. Or can have a person just talking. The motion 5 is just the optional ordinance post enactment, just because of all these procedural steps. It's significantly important zoning and saldo amendments. We have done this in the past, just in case a T wasn't crossed or an I wasn't dotted. It's a post enactment notice that lets anybody know, everybody know, that they have 30 days to file a procedural validity challenge. They believe there was something that was wrong. Procedural validity challenges just say, if there was an error, you have to start over and do it again. Doesn't go to the substance of the offense. I have 2 conditional use applications that have been recommended for approval by the planning commission. First one is a garage, significant size. So we have that one. Number 2 is Reese Run Road property, formerly known, it had a couple of other names. For the greenhouse, was it Riggle or Niggle? And now A&N, so seen that one. Had a bit of contentious public comment portion of that. There is a neighbor in standing. They do show up for the public hearing and can participate to give their views likely against the application. Treat that as we do all other conditional uses. Once again, although we have motions for both of these right after, we can close the public hearing and then you've got 45 days to render a decision. So on those particularly hostile ones, if there is a desire to think about it some more, deliberate in executive session, not vote right then and there can be a motion to table the approval to the next meeting. Moving through, Deerfield Estates is on for phase 2B. It's moving along with phase 1 as well as phase 2A. But then we do have the guest of honor, motion 9. We have advertised the owner charter ordinance, so that is on the agenda for a vote. We need the public hearing, anything else like that. If you want to comment, they can comment during general.
Can we drop back to motion 8? I was trying to
Yes.
figure out. To me, it looks, I mean, what does this motion 8 actually? It divides it into 2, I guess, but does it change anything with the development of the streets or the lot sizes or anything?
No, it was originally 2 phases. They did phase 1 with a little bit of work in phase 2, just in terms of grading and site work. But when they came to phase 2, they wanted to split it up in essentially half. So that was 2A, now 2B.
So it's just phasing as far as getting the.
Approvals.
Bond everything together.
Yes.
Okay, so I looked at the drawing and I'm thinking somehow the lots look smaller in the newly created phase. And I'm thinking they didn't shrink anything down or add anything.
Nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
It's just a have less bond money, That's really one advantage. Is there a reason they just go like phase 1, 2, 3? Like, instead of like 2A, 2B?
They could have just, but because it was phase two originally, it would have been confusing as to what that referred to. Since it's 2B.
All right.
Got that, and then later we do have, Deerfield Estates phase, one, their plan blocks one, a change to their financial security. They have provided a 10% increase, and have requested the addendum for an additional year to continue work on phase one. Going back up, we've got Bird Town.
Yes, Bird Town being closed.
That's how it's written.
Bird Town, Pennsylvania. Bird Town. Not to be confused with the Monarch Village or the Banner Communities. So moving down, Clover Hill Golf Course, we talked about at the last work session with respect to putting out the advertisement for bids for work there. We'll talk about the digital sign, 15, 16. Reason for the change.
The reason for the change, and then that came up after the last meeting.
Right, a slight price increase. That'd be,
Okay. But still under co-stars.
yes,
Still the same supplier.
yes, yes, the people who put in the original stuff.
We've got the third quarter payment to the library. And then finally, Mr. Chang tendered his resignation from the planning commission due to work issues.
We're assuming that applies to PAC as well.
He, when I communicated with him, because he's a library, it sounds like he could, he travels,
He just needs to respond to our communication.
yeah, that's still happening, okay.
Yeah, we're not hearing from them.
And it's
They
still-
actually appointed him, chair, but we never heard from him, so I don't know.
Because that's,
They did change the word.
all right.
Well, we 9 members on the planning commission, down to 8. We have any? It's great. Only for the zoning hearing board. So we'll have an opening. If he's interested. And council members can be on that.
I'm already on there.
What's the one?
We don't meet every month.
No,
So,
nothing in July.
No,
I don't think I've ever done.
have Laura, if you.
Everybody but Brian.
I'm not,
Alright.
Well,
Okay, yeah, we'll ask around. Okay,
well, and do we have any, pending or somebody who submitted an application?
I will double check.
We people who are potentially other,
Yeah, or it's, there was someone who applied for like everything right on or something.
I'll double check the file, see
see
what
what
I
it was from somebody else.
that's.
Where's that neighbor who applied for the ambulance board?
Yeah,
Planning commission?
you know what, I'll go see.
That's perfect.
And when's planning commission's Tuesday?
third Tuesday.
Yeah.
Next one might be in August, if we have an application.
Well, I'll go ask.
All right, sounds good. Let's go to reports from staff, borough engineer and so forth.
I can go first. You have my written report, submitted a bit early, indulgence, but at your places, you do have a draft ordinance, working with the lieutenant and the chief. There is a provision regarding, in the state law regarding, arrests for summary offenses or disorderly conduct, drunk, public types of offenses, and it does authorize police officers to make those warrantless arrests, provided there are guidelines by the governing body. There were guidelines in the former version of the codified ordinances, somewhere along the lines, they didn't make a cut. There have been other policy manuals and directives that are changed or otherwise. So as part of the accreditation process, and wanting to make sure that we put this in a place where it will not be overlooked or lost, we've decided to amend the ordinances, particularly with respect to the police department, to add these 2 provisions, continuing to authorize, not establishing or that, but addressing what can be done in terms of a warrantless arrest and the procedure by which it's sort of be effectuated.
Maybe, What happens to your folks if this is not in the code? Like what's the impact?
Well, right now, it says, just that, yeah, they have to have guidance from the governing bodies. We
Okay.
can find it somewhere, somewhere in the
Like a
directive.
can we get policy that they?
Something like that, but this, putting it front and center and in an ordinance just makes it easy to find and easy to, I don't think, has there ever been an issue at the magistrate?
No, it doesn't affect our ability to do the job. It affects our ability to get accredited. If it's not part of the resolution or ordinance, we fail that portion of the accreditation.
Yeah, I was just concerned because when you have an established policy or procedure that somebody later argues under section 1983 violation, it can bite you the other way. That's
Yeah.
why I was asking about it. But if it's,
No,
there's
yeah.
no concern here, then.
It's supposed to have it, so
It's that.
you can pass that. Accreditation, okay.
So yes, there's no change. We've reviewed it, make sure that the procedure, particularly in 50.6, mirrors our practices. We can add a number at the top and put it on for introduction. Agenda I just read, for action in or August. And I do have items for executive session. One that came up today. There.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Excuse me, I guess just one thing or something. I did submit a report, expand on that or answer any questions best I can.
It's an update next week, or
With a semi-annual, right?
Yeah, we began the process, so my plan for that was to have a report to compare actions, budgets through the month of June and explain and dig into any variances that really look out of line if anything's over budget, at least explain that. So we made some good progress. I've met with most of these guys and we've looked at the preliminary numbers and just, I'll put the report together and I plan on getting it out to you guys by Friday this week, if it's enough time for next Wednesday.
If it's 6:30. 6:30. Perfect.
The other thing, one of those things too, is just without earning any interest on that contractor advance account that we have at the bank. I approached them and they agreed to create a savings account. We have to create a new account. So I was gonna see if I can get you guys to sign signature card page here, right? That was the best way to do it, was to go for the new. They agreed to give us what we're saying, which is matching.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's 0.
Not quite the 5%, but.
Not quite the 5, but we'll take it.
So can I pass this around and be probably?
Yeah. Yeah, Scott, going along those lines, if there's any other accounts people from reserve. From my father, like the 4% mark. That'd be great. There's others, but that's a big thing.
Well, and I mean, ideally, I'd like to get a bit of a cash policies in the right term, but it'd be good to use some of those 5.5% accounts, plug in some of these ones, and try to establish maybe a working capital amount that you've been in the operating account and funds. And there's also a savings account that ties into it and use some of these other higher interests. But I guess establishing kind of like some of those cash models.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the people were eager to meet with us at any point. So, I'm sure you have a concept for it. If you don't have a concept, you get free. That's good.
So,
Yeah, I'll sign it. Black ink spot. Or,
yeah.
Did that be blue or I don't know?
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it, man.
Along with my report, first, probably some of you have seen, we're working in the area of, Sandhurst Drive, King Charles, we're looking, we're gonna be paving those areas next. That wasn't on, and I think we originally talked about that at the, during budget time and stuff there, but, you know, because everything was cut back to 2 miles on what we were paving this year, so we spread it out because we were doing things a little different. We're doing 2-inch overlay on some of the roads to try to get us some more mileage out of the road. So we're looking at paving Sandhurst Drive. We're doing basins on Sandhurst. We're starting to check all the basins, make sure everything's intact, everything's ready to go. We're gonna do Sandhurst, section of King Charles back to where it meets King John. And then we're gonna do King Edward that goes off of that, and then we're gonna do a short section from that goes along the golf course on hole number 2, where it goes back and meets the circle that goes around back on King James. Do a short section there. The reason why I'm doing that is because I'm looking to do a partial there this year, and then maybe next year, hopefully next year, we can get in and finish the rest of that plan over there because everything's, you know, getting bad in those areas there too. So, and that'll allow us to come in off of King Williams on the lower end, be able to truck the stuff in and out of there, so it's not gonna do damage on the other roads too. So, that's one thing I always like to try to do the roads where we're not running back over them again and we, you know, start paying something else. Then we probably gonna do a 1-inch overlay from the section of the lower section of Montgomery Road too. I've been getting a lot of calls and a lot of complaints about that. We just gotta get something on there at least to cover it where it'll hold up for a little while for us until we're ready to get into the road.
Just in that road, so.
Yeah, just new road down there. Because we get into taking that completely out, I mean, it's gonna increase the cost a bit.
Didn't we talk about that, doing that last year, Bonneville, Montgomery?
Well, the reason for that is because there was talk of doing a water line down there, and that's the reason why we didn't get into
That's right.
the water line from off of, McAleer was supposed to come up that bottom,
That's
up to that new house. That's the reason why that was put off. And then this year it's kind of put off because of the stream bank restoration. We didn't want to get in there, have to bring heavy equipment in or machine down
We're
along.
trying to do that.
So it's, you know,
It has to be done.
it's kind of been put off, so. That's what we're gonna try to at least put an overlay on that, make it, you know, get us through the winter and hopefully in the next year sometime there and take a better look at it, you know. And possibly get into, you know, do the job right at some point, so. But, other than that, it's, pretty much all I have.
How's the lines holding up? It's just.
MRI is holding up, real good. We had one spot over there by the, swim club, or directly across from, Meadow, that actually had a sinkhole started. I called Western Water up, they come out, they patched it, so I gotta make sure that they're gonna dig that up and then patch the section right, you know, try to get that finished up right. Other than that, I don't see any other areas that, it's great, any other problems down there, so. You know, hopefully if it does right away, because basically, that's the maintenance agreement where they would have to possibly take care of, you know, for the area they dug up on it, but other than that, it seems like it's all pretty good.
Thanks.
If there's any other questions, anybody else have,
The shooting, you guys did a great job helping with stuff.
I think the planning question is not. The zoning hearing board has one hearing. And that's for front yard and coach on that. Questions?
We were talking about that house, and I was saying before you got here, but you said it's 41. That house so much when you.
Yeah,
we're talking.
I sent the survey out.
Not much.
Believe me, my eyes aren't believing it either. But, you know, the guy, this is shameful, so I'm not arguing.
It doesn't look like anything else on that road, it just doesn't.
No?
Yeah. So I get, he gave you a as-built survey or whatever, but are we convinced the survey is accurate? I mean, is that, we have to take their word for that
I
survey?
think we do, because it's a surveyor is put a seal on it. I mean, if we could get a surveyor to do it ourselves and check it, and if it's different, we would have to go common police court to get it addressed.
Talking about
We
the
couldn't
house
take it to the
really close to
magistrate.
the.
Yeah, it's good.
It's the garage that's. Yeah.
I mean, it looks close. I definitely agree.
And, I mean, when did the surveyor, do they look at a deed to figure out where the line was, or did they?
I am not a surveyor.
Yeah. I mean, how do we,
Maybe our engineer could fill us in a little bit on that.
how do we convince ourselves that this is accurate? Intentionally or unintentionally?
Pardon me?
You know, that's what the center of the.
No, it's right.
Is it?
Yeah, it shows, really shows that. But I mean, I think that Sean will give us a little bit more insight into what a surveyor does.
Yeah, I haven't seen what we're talking about. To do the right thing, they should find monumentation in the field. Whether it's on that property or nearby, you find a plan that there's monumentation, so you can line, set the right of way, set the corner, go from there. More than just flat.
I'm just not convinced, and neither are a lot of my neighbors, so I don't know what the next step is, what the council cares enough to take the next step and how to professionally work that. I mean, we don't have any teeth unless if we don't occasionally look at stuff like this. This one's upsetting a lot of people, for what it's worth. If nobody else cares, that's fine, but I'm getting a lot of comments.
What would the recommendation be for?
I don't know, what would we could do if you were the engineer and you wanted to confirm that the as-built drawing was accurate and correct based on the survey?
Tim's point, a surveyor would need to redo the work. Same thing, plan research, deed research, find monumentation in the field, correlate that monumentation to the features on the site and check the layout.
I'm not sure we have legal way to do that without a search warrant.
Hit up the survey.
Not to have somebody walking through their property, but do you have any requirement, in the ordinance or anything as to?
We don't have, even have a requirement for an as-built survey, but if I ask you for it, John, I'll give them. Stuff they love, it's very like that. So we do that on all new homes. I mean, this guy's a design professional certified by the state of Pennsylvania.
Tim, you know, if you come up there from Grant School and you see that on your right, if you went another quarter mile, like when you get up near Nevin or something, the homes on the right at that point are just about the same distance back. I think what's unfortunate is in that one section, several of the homes were built much further
Well,
back.
they are, yeah. I mean, they're large lots and they were put back significantly.
Like most streets like mine have a 50-foot building line. 50 foot from the edge of the street is the face, and it must be, it can't be 52 because you don't want them to look like this.
Right.
So all the new stuff, they set a building line and all the homes have to be built to that. But
Yeah.
I think some of those homes have been there, like Tim already said, they might be 3-acre lots or something. There's a couple of pretty big ones, pretty big lots there. It's just really unusual that that would happen, but I just happened to notice driving over here, some of those ones up closer to where your street would come up to that road. Brian, if you look at it, they're pretty close to the road too.
Yeah, I think it's just jarring right there because they're all set
And
up.
the way that
Yeah.
those lots I still don't even really understand what the house would come behind. I don't know what's going on there. It's weird.
You mean that where it's the subdivision itself, that
Right,
we're looking
yeah.
at? It's bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's, you know.
It's definitely weird.
So is the consensus just gonna ignore it? There's,
I don't know, it sounds like we haven't.
We could look into it, why I haven't seen survey, check, see, is the person still licensed surveyor, use their license,
I'd be
somebody
interested to
do something fraudulent, but individual bills.
it just,
The borough's forbidden from doing parallel survey.
I mean, you could do one, just not
Look at
get
that.
on the property, you can't be walking up through their yard.
So they need to site,
phases.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're talking about that.
I mean, it'd be standing right away, I suppose.
Oh.
Laser.
That's what I was thinking.
So you need to find monumentation somewhere.
Yeah.
You have to encroach somewhere on private property to find monumentation, plan to be able, if you were going to do this to the extent that you go to court and challenge it, you'd have to find written monumentation. It's not.
Not just like
This could be a situation where you just do
our undetected work.
the high level plan.
it just seems wrong.
And it could be fine, but what if it just shows that, hey, it's only like 30 feet instead of,
Right,
well, what is it supposed to be 50?
uh-huh.
40.
Well, then there's an
Oh,
order to
really?
take it down, of course.
Right.
Okay,
You're in court of common pleas where there's due process in order to take it down, if they put it where it didn't belong.
Well, they would have the right to appeal.
Yeah,
so,
facts are facts.
yeah, I don't have to, as a borough, done anything in the past, I mean. You do the initial survey, without. But formally, just to get a guesstimate, is it 40 feet or is it 45 feet or,
No,
it might be 50.
if they're saying it's 41.5, I guess, and it's not gonna really.
Oh, it's
Where
40,
they need to be in court.
Yeah, 41.34.
41.3.
So like Sean said, I mean, if you wanna do something where you're telling them to tear down the garage, you better find monuments and do it for them. So
41.5 here. And legal, right? I thought,
What are you hearing, Brian, from your neighbors?
It's just too close to the road and nobody's buying that it's correct, that there's, and then the other thing as well, they're wondering is the stormwater taken care of with this new structure that's all over, that's got all this new impervious stuff in the roof and they got a driveway, is that taken care of?
They have a stormwater plan, just like all the houses.
Okay.
The Subdivision plan.
Okay.
it's probably
Again,
documented in the
I'm
borough.
a design professional.
Yeah.
You know,
Right,
I
yeah,
agree.
I get it, I think it's,
Absolutely.
I agree, it is very close to the road.
Yeah.
But the neighbors, when you look at the stormwater plan, at the borough, yeah,
Yeah, it's in the street.
yeah, that's okay, they should very track. Okay,
I'm just being the voice of the.
Yeah,
people.
totally understand.
It
Are we doing anything about this or?
does sound, it sounds like legally, there's not much we can do, which to me is bizarre, like we have these requirements, setbacks, but you can't confirm or deny them once somebody builds something, which means that's weird, I mean, it's a lawyer, I mean, is that right?
The plan of the professional surveyor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, you can look into it, make sure that it's, the R license is still there, it wasn't something just created and, or the forged, stamp, I mean, heck, there, some engineers are using stamps, somebody up in town
All right,
for
can we at
years.
least do that, can we agree to do that, let's just see, let's look
Get into it a
into
little.
it. Okay. What would that take, Mark?
We haven't done them before.
Yeah.
We started from scratch.
Little investigation work.
Little bit of investigation.
Yeah. Does that sound reasonable? to-
Please confirm your,
That's law.
Yeah,
please confirm your.
Yeah.
Validity of your,
survey. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, including like the background, you're talking about monumentation, so what did they use for that? Is that something that we asked?
No, I mean, this wouldn't be an interrogation. Of them. This would be something we would do.
Yeah,
we can just ask basic questions.
okay.
We were a home rule charter community.
Oh, there we go. That's on, that's on
Brian,
the
you have a
website.
point.
That's it, yeah.
If they would like to be in a study commission, this is a good opportunity, this would be an example. Someone
Yeah.
yes, we want to ask
Yeah.
the surveyor.
Yeah.
Prospects. That's good enough.
Can we do that, Matt? We have to surveyor contacts.
We only know, I mean, I haven't seen what the survey is. Well, first and foremost, just get a look at that, talk to Tim as to
Okay,
other background and then take it from there.
fair enough.
Could say, you know, this was not based on a field survey, it was based on, they put those disclaimers on. About it, might be more pushing back.
All right.
You two want to connect on this?
Yep.
Or Miller plan.
This is apparently a reputable, surveyor,
You have a copy of it.
no, I mean, this is not my opinion. Over here.
Yeah, it's Stroop Engineering.
It's a
They're,
no.
Oh, yeah.
they're not,
They're
it's not
rich.
a
Fly by night.
one-off
Right.
guy.
Okay. Sorry to you, Brian, but this is also an opportunity to get some members with some information.
Yes. Okay. Well, taken, point well taken.
Was at a meeting with Rich on Monday.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, thanks.
You have my report. I guess, yeah. Zach with the festival.
Louder.
The festival, for when I was there, went well. The other thing I want to mention in the parks, I kind of put it in my report. Just so everyone, I know we looking, do a comprehensive plan in the future, but one thing I wanted to bring up was with our employees, the lack of their infrastructure. We don't really, they don't have restrooms, we don't really have the break room that they need. We're running out of space for the equipment that we have as we grow. So that's just a big thing. I just watching half my staff have to sit out in the garage while the other half's in the little tiny air conditioned six person table. Probably isn't the best for them.
Did they bring up there to expand you?
That's basically a storage building. Yeah,
The storage building, and it kind of adapted,
We want to look
and-
at having a new building.
10 years ago, when it was just Ryan and Jason, it was eight to two people. Now we got 5 full-timers and 4 part-time, and, we got one 8-foot table. It's very cramped with the refrigerator and the counter that is there.
With the log house.
With no restrooms. But that,
Log house in Lindbergh?
yes.
Almost
Something a little more.
almost with it.
But, just, as we move forward, looking, from facility wise for them as well. I know, with baseball and football and lacrosse and looking for storage space, if somewhere in the future, if we can move, if we have a better facility for our guys, and that would be perfect it would solve the problems for those groups. But yeah, basically it's a glorified garage with a tiny little room in the corner of it. Then the golf side of things is, obviously, end of the month here is our scholarship outing. We're doing well with foursomes, but we obviously use a few more. To get to that, I don't say minimum, but 20 groups is 80 people, so we try to get at least 80, to 100, 100. Shannon's more happy with 100 people, so, if anybody, complete with, foursomes, just looking for a lunch sponsor. And, just some, if anybody, for gift baskets for the silent auction. If anybody has any idea, we're able to get some donations for that, would be helpful for Donna and myself.
I know in the past, if you didn't want to golf, you could still buy a lunch ticket or something. That's still something we do.
That I'm not aware of. But if, like we had one vendor who he couldn't secure a foursome, so he bought a, advertising package. Obviously, you don't necessarily make money on the golfer as the foursome. I mean, it's 150 a person, Shannon's charging 137, so we're making $13 a person. Everything else comes from them being there and purchasing other things. And then obviously the advertising. So like that particular person bought an advertising package, so he spent 250 on the advertising. That's pure, profit for us. So, or for the scholarship. So the advertising, but the donations for the silent auction helps tremendously as well. So.
You're doing a great job with the festival. Those, and, I think it was at least, Zach's not here. I don't know, you can say, I think it was as busy as last year.
I think it was.
We parked cars on the field.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, as dry as things are at this point, it's like driving on concrete, some of that feels.
Next year, if we do that, we'd probably be perfect.
Well,
Other than that.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it's something to do in the future, then a couple, 2 spaces, we just leave those open so we can, we don't have to get around the dog pot and the volleyball court, it's probably a little tight.
You did say you're, when you, band together, I guess it's for your board.
Road 4, we talked about it last year. Those fields were put in relatively, they're good fields, they're just not, like field 4 it's 8 foot from home plate to center field, 4 feet up. So that runs that drainage right into field 3, so we can't fix water issues on 3 until we fix 4. So if we, it's one of the things we're in the fall,
if we give a plan of fixing 4, and leveling it out a little better and fixing the drainage, then we can work on 3 to make that, just to improve the quality of those fields going forward.
But more leveling it out instead of repositioning.
Yes, try to lower the outfield, bring the home plate up a little, try to get the water to run to the back of the property, not coming all of it onto field 3. And left center, left field, and right field is probably 40 feet difference, so if we can kind of push one out and make them a little better. Now they have lights, it's a better field. So to help improve the play on those fields. I mean, that's mostly 7, 8-year-olds, but
Yeah.
It helps their play as well. For sure. So get some prices on new fencing. This is something we could possibly do, something we can tackle early, late fall and have it ready for spring, I think. And it won't impact fall ball nearly as much as it would for 3 or 4, we're using field 3 and field 1 specifically.
Couple project updates, but first, before I forget, the Reed may have noticed, I know they sent out to the managers, the GEDPF funding is gonna open again. It's due in August, relatively short turnaround, open August, or due August 30th. So infrastructure, recreation, gaming money, you did get money last year, you incorporate some part, so, it's gonna be very successful for our communities to get cash here and there. So something to keep in mind the next 6 weeks here. We recommend making an application there because it's for the communities. Informal applications don't open until May. It's a really short window to start working on it. Prior to that, another couple project updates covered somewhat otherwise on the agenda. Max mentioned through the agenda review, authorization for bidding for the clubhouse exterior improvements. We met with Jim, walked through the scope there, looking to open the last week of August. So you'll have that for consideration and award at September's meeting for fall project and new siding, soffit fascia gutters, clean up the whole outside of the building, get short of the roof. So that one's moving forward. And then Acorn Park, I do see under Regis report on the bench.
If you'd like to talk about it now, we can.
Yeah, bid opening was held yesterday. Reach provided a budget update there. And certainly talked through potential award there to start some construction.
Yeah, I sent out a comparison of our budget for cash outlays to what we're projecting as actual. I think there's some areas we could probably save on. But the general contracting came in a little higher than we thought it would. We received 2 bids. Independent, I think, is a good firm. They do a lot of paving work in the canvas.
Yeah,
I love, Sean, if you've worked with them in the past.
they do all kinds of work, actually, infrastructure, paving. They do a lot of work in the city. They've done other of these kind of multifaceted park projects for us as well. So workmanship has been up with.
We expect that the items the borough will take care of are the trails, the overlooks on the trails. We will hire somebody to take down the trees. We will remove the asphalt that's there right now and also remove the playground. And we'll also do all the plantings and purchase all the plants. The riparian buffer is something that we didn't have in our original plans and didn't budget, but was a requirement for DEP. So a lot of the plants that we're buying are for the riparian buffer.
Although as Reece mentioned, a little higher than anticipated, it is in line with what we've seen recently as far as the prices. I wouldn't think a rebid is going to be very.
And we can still, I think, bring this project in within budget. We've also provided the quotes we received for the tree removal. The low quote is 14.5, so if council's okay with that, we'll put that on the agenda for next week. And we can get that thing. Whatever. Was it 75? I said
About 75 in Borough Street.
Well, we've already.
Got what you got.
Yeah, the EAC did a walkthrough and some aren't happy, but we promised 3 trees for everyone we've had. At least I promised, and that's included in those budget numbers. So EAC gets to pick out the trees that we're going to plant, replace the ones we're taking out.
I mean, most of the trees are in direct areas that were approved. It's not
Yeah,
one through the park. It's,
There's no way to
But the
improve
park
park
lot
without taking
moving-
those trees down, you know. Right. The least amount of, I don't want to say damage, the least amount of change we can make.
it's very small.
Yeah,
You have 20 trees right where, where the water garden used to be. Where, where the old grill was, or still is.
Some of the trees are dead, right?
some
They're
are
very,
dead.
they're very, the older oaks. And
A lot of them are
we
kind
got
of like
with
pencils
oak,
where they're
yeah.
just up and then they have branches at the top.
We've had many with oak wilt and the dieback we've had the last few years. People don't want to believe it. It's more, it helps the overall health of that park as well. Like those trees that are right there on the road.
So I'm taking the grade from the trees and even the AC once a month. Go from there.
So I think outside of my report, the only thing to mention or elaborate would be the Matterhorn project. Most of the materials have been delivered, everything's been ordered. They're currently placing sub-base at the moment this week. Next week, hopefully, we'll be getting into the biomaterials for the top. But one thing that did come up the last couple of days is we did receive a residence complaint. So Region and I are going to investigate that a little bit here tomorrow.
Resident who called me about a week after they started, he lives, as you're looking at the project, he is directly to the right of the access way. And first time he called, he said they're firing up their equipment at 6, it's waking up my baby. You're not allowed to start till 7, so I called Demex and they immediately changed that. So in his latest complaint, he said they are not starting the equipment until 7, but they're showing up at 6. Can we do something about that? And I don't know how we can stop people from just showing up at work, which is all they're doing. They're not firing up the equipment until 7. But he also said they're using a vibrator that's vibrating his house. And he said he's done some research on it and that we shouldn't be allowing that. The vibrator is being used about 100 yards away from his house. So we're gonna go out and talk to him tomorrow. I mean, how long is it probably? It's gonna be probably about 3 more weeks. Originally, they thought it would be done by the end of this week, but it hasn't moved as quickly as they thought. Within the detention facility itself. And we have the easement to get back to the detention facility, so we're working within our rights. He's the only one who complains.
You know, if we choose on a large vibrating, like the vibrating rollers, we just do like dig up.
No, it's like a 10-ton vibratory roller. I think that I don't think that it's oversized in my opinion, as the residents stating. And to be honest, I think the possible reasoning is perhaps his foundation is tied to bedrock in some way, where it's making that connection between the two, because overall that distance really shouldn't be too concerning.
Those are both houses on the side of that are older houses. And I think that one just sold recently.
Like I think at least I know the signs were, I'm not sure. Yeah.
House to the right just sold. Is that the one with the fence all around?
Yeah,
Actually, he's the one to the right of the left.
I thought it was the one to the
He's the one in the
White
left.
House, right?
Yeah, because he had also mentioned that when we cleaned out that detention facility last year, now he can see it like it's plan things. We really can't. I mean, we cleaned it out because you're not allowed to have things growing up.
Well, the one to the left was Marilyn Corey's old house. And that is old, right? She moved that, I went into the basement, old stone foundations and stuff. I mean, it's not a block foundation, it's stone.
Well, we're meeting with them 3 tomorrow. Discussing.
Final signatures on everything we need from Ramblewood.
Okay, just update on all those. Ramblewood, we're approaching the finish line and we got some comments back yesterday. And they're not out of whack, so I think we will have something in place soon. So that we can go ahead and reapply to DEP and hopefully get this thing financed at the October deadline. That's what it depends on DEP at this point. With Bear Run, the golf course came back with 3 minor requests for the easement agreement that I think we can handle no problem, so we should be okay with golf course, and that'll leave the property owner in the middle who's still not responding to me. And we're gonna have to give him an ultimatum that we have to go now. So either we have an easement agreement that he signs, or we proceed with taking the property we need to do this work. We have to. I mean, all we're talking about doing is improving the stream. And then Fish Run, we are in the process of finding an appraiser for that property the HOA thought they owned, so we take that property. We're still going to go ahead and respond to the latest technical deficiencies letter we got from Fish Run, from DEP, and see what they come back with from that. Go from there and try to amend that property and take it over. That's MS4.
That's enough for you.
All right.
Do we think we can get the permit to Ramblewood and get it started before winter?
Before winter,
We're thinking maybe next year.
yeah, it would be a push, and especially if we miss the October Penfest application. And that's gonna be a pretty big turnaround.
We miss October, we look at January. What we've seen is that when things go back to DEP, they start all over again, potentially with a new reviewer and a whole new series of questions. And it's starting all over again. Yeah, it's the difference that you've seen with DEP.
You have my report. I wanted to highlight a couple things. One was I had put in a request for a motion to make a purchase. However, due to the holiday, I don't have a couple of bids, but essentially, part of the accreditation process, we need to have a secure area that is under camera that is for large items, large enough to have a vehicle in it. So we are looking at putting a fenced-in area within the garage bay, which we designate as bay 5 or 6. We have space there that we have room to put it. It appears the cost is going to be right around $5,000. So, and again, that's part of the accreditation process, which we're moving forward on, and we're doing really great. We have a potential deadline of being accredited by November of this year. So we're trying to work towards that. So, but due to the holiday, I may need to move that motion to next month. But I wanted to, since it was in my report, I wanted to mention it. I also included in the report a speed study. I'm going to try to average about 2 of those a month and include those in the report. If you have any questions about those, I can try to answer for you. I wanted to throw a thank you out to the fire department. We had a resident during that storm. They were on a well, and due to the power being out, they had no water. I was able to contact the fire department. They had donated some cases of water, and I was able to take the resident. The Lynbrook camera project, we're moving forward with that. Thank you to Gary and his crew. They dug the ditch for the electrical lines, so we're moving forward on that. Have a meeting with the civil service on July 24th coming up to review some of the rules in the civil service and do and update it and do some modifications or changes to a couple of the sections. It's in the report, and again, if you have any questions about that, I'm more than happy to answer. And lastly, it's been a busy month or 2 months now for the department. And I wanted to give a certificate of recognition at the July 17th meeting to Officer Zach Dangler. He interceded a potentially very, very bad incident where a McCandless officer was hurt, trying to stop a male who was suicidal and threatening with potentially either getting a gun or had a gun. Officer Dangler arrived as the situation was unfolding and saw the McCandless officer go down, who had a dislocated shoulder. And Officer Dangler had to take immediate action, subdued the individual, and I wanted to highlight that and give him some recognition for that. I think that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Thanks. Um,
Um, These, all of that.
Good night, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay. Moving on, so I know we have the IT policy manual on here. I do apologize, it should actually be an executive session. Due to like the nature of the product security. So, we'll talk about it then. Okay, so on to manager items, State Farm Park, we're good. Great. Okay. Rouse infrastructure project updates.
The Cityscape and Federal Engineering have basically completed tasks 1 and 2, which are the project initiation, preliminary research, and the public safety user interviews and assessments. Cityscape is completing their work on the infrastructure assessments for cell and broadband. And that would complete the investigation phase of the project. They would then move into the mapping and analysis phase. So I will ask them when they've completed the investigation phase to provide us with a report, as it does say in our agreement that council authorizes proceeding to the next step.
Do they, yeah, I'll see if they want to do a that might be helpful. If they can do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much they'll have to present to us at that point, because the mapping and analysis is really where that comes in.
No, but that's fine.
But they can tell us what they found.
Glad to do it. Okay. All right, sounds good. That's the reports from region emails.
Nothing else.
That's cool. All right, first council mayor. So,
Yeah, after our land use committee was thinking about, I think we discussed in terms of the terrible things on top of that.
yes.
I started to get a little concerned because I know that those townhouses over on Wexford are going for about $800,000. And if we make these changes, I'm worried that that's going to open up the Western. That the profitability of these townhouses might be so high that to overcome the obstacles of not having public utilities. Sure. So I think that's just something that we should talk about, think about, and keep in mind. Because that may be, I mean, that just may be the inputs. I think the profitability is going to be much higher than single family homes. And we just went through the comprehensive plan process. And that's what we're trying to encourage. I don't know, kind of shift backwards. So I don't know what everybody else thinks about that, but I think maybe it's a concern. I think maybe even though that what we have now might be a little outdated, it might be holding that tide back.
What do we think about the issue of opting for like apartment rentals instead of town? Like, is that something that we can address in the land use maybe some other way other than the way that we were approaching this? Yeah,
It's a good question.
because I think that's a problem. As much as the other thing is a problem, that's a problem.
Dictating ownership,
No, no, encouraging the development of the apartment buildings that are rental units instead of the more expensive townhouses because of the way we have it regulated right now.
so
Yeah.
main issue.
Yeah, yeah, look, I definitely get your point.
Yeah.
Those townhouses in Marshall, is it Marshall?
I think
it's Marshall.
Yeah.
I mean, the insides are very luxurious.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
Like if you go to Deerfield, you will see a contrast. I know they classify themselves as luxurious, it's a luxurious.
There's different levels of that.
They definitely look at the sink handle, in the bathroom, that immediately, just things like that give it away. So that property marshal, I think Eddie owns the building, right, if I'm not mistaken. So it does make a difference. If somebody wants to develop a high-end property, they'll do it. I'm not sure if this will open up the floodgate for townhomes in general, and then eventually put a western line in. I get it, I do see the concern. If I were a builder, I would maximize, I would take the townhouse, route, absolutely. It's less space, you can prefab this sufficient. I'm not sure if we'll just cause, large scale entities to buy up large swaths of land. That's part, because there is a lot of infrastructure they want to put down.
There's a lot.
Can you even do a townhome in R1? I'm trying to find the,
That's a good question.
I don't know the chart right now.
I'm trying to look it up.
Even if you can't do even if you can't do a townhouse in R1, is R1 where you have to have a minimum of 50, half an acre?
I'm trying to find
R1, I think it is.
Okay, so you can have like a 100 townhome community on 50 acres of land, right? And then just have townhomes here and then a bunch of.
Well, one is
Three
one
times.
acre. Or two is a half acre.
Is that how it goes?
Is it? R2 is half, for sure.
Or two is half acre.
Okay. So either way, the standard is still applied. If you're an R1 and you have to have an acre, you can have a 20 townhome community, 4 of those 5 sectionals. But you'll have to have, if that's sitting on 5 acres, you'll have to have 15 acres of protected space, right? So by interpreting this, I'm sure there's more nuances to it. Yeah, so the R would override potential of, having a bunch of.
The floodgates.
Floodgates,
Yeah,
yes.
R1 is only single family detached.
Oh, okay.
R2 is only single family.
The real question is, what is that free?
Uh,
I don't, that was one of the things I was gonna bring up. Our maps are so incorrect. This is right from our website today, and it's not right. It doesn't even show, Deerfield as being correct.
Well, I mean,
It's a
that's,
2013 map.
yeah, so that, we add to those roads and everything else, but it's the zoning district that, it's the color above it that controls.
So where is that here? It's over here?
part of it's here, part of it's yellow.
So part of it's blue and yellow?
What are you talking about?
yeah.
Which one?
You're talking about the Cardinal Ridge?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
That's the
so
blue.
Cardinal Ridge should be like here.
M2.
Is it a little bit of the yellow?
No, a little bit lower. I mean, it's all the blue.
It'll go in. That's
There's a straight line.
Yeah, it like goes in it curves, right? So it's in blue,
It's all in M2 with an access through on
R2. So that's you.
Blue.
M2.
Right.
If we don't want to go this route, the restrictions are on different. I know you mentioned that if they appeal it, we could. Right, so as far as
They're pursuing this process, the written decision is June 10th. Today,
July 10th.
July 10th.
June 10th, yeah, so it's not about 30 minutes. Yeah, I mean, that, included in the packets was the draft based on the discussion from the land use committee, changing provisions for townhomes in the areas where it's already allowed and changing the maximum height of an apartment building from 8 to 4. Now, there are other considerations. I know Tim, opined, he's talked to others, not a fan of this or otherwise. To make it more targeted on not so much the height, but perhaps on the garage doors You could have the language that says it's, 50% in R3, R4, M1, 70% in M2. It's the one area that's an issue. And then, otherwise, if there are concerns about the height, although we wanted to make it uniform, it's only the M2 that is that issue now. So all the blue, if somebody wanted to put townhomes, where Sorgles is, future development type of issues.
There's not much else up there. Okay, right?
No,
Why are we seeing an issue? Because the developer didn't get their way, that way I'm due to the issue now.
Yeah.
But I think we should be looking at improving all borough, not just M2.
Make it.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah, I don't want to just say, oh, they raised it in M2, so that's where I want to work. I want to spend my time making it good for the whole borough, whatever the definition of that is. So I get there's some concern about opening up the western part of Franklin Park and am I hearing that the way the zoning works, that some of that's taken care of? If we don't make it, yeah.
no,
Yeah.
only single family.
I mean, does that sound good to you, Luke, as far as?
It certainly.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to, so I don't really want to go backwards unless there's a real reason to go backwards.
Townhomes are allowed in the R3, R4, M1, and M2, not in the M3, R1, R2.
And that's why in the chart they weren't mentioned or regulated. And so I think we're good with, I mean, it's good to go back and look at that, but I think we'll be okay. And I've talked to people, they're pretty excited about it. The happening with the townhouse change.
Yeah, I just want to ask, like, there's a townhouse, the street has townhomes in Ward 1, it is Brant View Court. I do remember this place, it's up Brant School Road. It is close to like, there's some office complexes there. It's like right here. So they have 2-car garages, and I'm just looking at it. They're 3-level. How are they able to do that? I mean, it sounds like they're,
Well, I think some of those were the old PRDs, weren't they?
Could be.
they're what?
If it's,
They were planned.
it would be indicated over here.
Planned residential development, which we no longer permit.
It's an old style that we got rid of.
It's not a subdivision, it's a,
It's a form of the subdivision, but it
Okay, so
changes the zoning in that area. Anything that's hashed out. Shown here, kind of hard to see. PRDs are Ridge Forest. I guess consent order, I say there's one.
okay, so it's
George,
just before.
Yeah.
Well, that's.
Yeah, up there, right.
Okay, yeah, because it,
Like go eat them.
Borough realizes.
Maybe the last one in
it's
five.
option. It's actually a good idea.
But now it's come back.
Yeah, no, 2 cars is better than. There are other issues, okay, all right.
They're just really wide.
Yeah, they are similar in nature to what, when we look at these at Cardinal Ridge. I mean, they changed their garage. To me, it seemed logical to have a 2-car garage, single door, only 2 cars. I didn't realize that the ordinance forbids that, but I noticed that these are there, these are similar in nature. But if they were built like 480 seller changes, that makes sense. I just are grandfathered. That's okay. All right.
The other thing is, like, I mean, the other option, I think, which might be allowable, is if the garage is in the back.
The language in the ordinance talks about that being preferred, but.
But not mandated.
Yeah, it sounds like the applicant didn't want to do that. Cost. The additional
Yeah, it's a cost.
street.
Yeah, and then you've got the driveway issue. Now you need a paper street that goes behind,
Language.
so the cars can get behind and get in.
That's how it works.
Yeah, that's more money.
On lots without alley access, street facing garages shall not extend forward of the primary building entrance, side facing garages are prohibited.
Not weird.
Side.
So,
On top.
It's a challenge.
And this
You're
could be,
prepared,
that, and this
not
is
bad,
not
but-
just, I mean, that's for all multi.
True that. True that, 3 of them. Yep.
No garage.
The side thing.
I mean, this is for all multi-family buildings,
Okay.
just, because it could be duplexes, it could be apartments.
Pretty sure.
Doesn't have the approval letters.
I think so.
Oh, 100,
Yeah.
I think 100.1.
You look at the assessment rate, they're
Right.
huge. Assessment is just the house, and everything else around it, it's open space.
Generally, not allowed PRDs anymore.
No. Their usefulness too is exceeded by other things that are much.
No, it's useful.
And I mean, we had talked about introducing this ordinance at the July meeting for potential public hearing in September and potential enactment.
I don't think anybody's objecting to that. I think they were just looking at issues. I think they're satisfied with the zoning, protecting the green spaces. So I think it's.
So
We go
giving
back.
it a number and introducing it.
Is it on the agenda?
Intro,
The whole town, the town.
yeah,
Yeah, the 686.
687. Item added to the agenda, public hearing.
Anything else? Thanks for helping at the festival, by the way, with the emergency service.
Yeah.
Did not realize we had those. Oh,
Well, a couple of things. I do think we should clean up the website of this stuff, because it isn't really reflective of the current zoning. I mean, it's only a few discrepancies, but
Yeah, it's an overall thing we're trying to do with TAC's working on, that we're trying to upgrade comments, we want to do everything at once.
Yeah,
Well,
Rachel's saying we're gonna get an email saying, hey, let us know what you want us to fix, and we do that all at the same time.
And zoning maps are static, in terms of the last time that they were enacted or amended, so even if the plan comes in, or new streets, we don't do an underline, we don't touch the map until there's a formal. Yeah, I mean, you can see all the times we've amended it on the
Yeah.
bottom there, at 19 looks like the last,
September 18th, 2019.
and that might have been one of the rezoning applications that led to Deerfield Estates, but it's not intended to be fluid and adding like the streets that.
can we put that on our website?
We
The
don't-
one on our website's 13.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we'll have to figure
Yeah, it
out,
should be, yeah.
No, it doesn't,
Yeah, yeah, that
doesn't
does
show
look
Deerfield being.
Green, no, it should be that one, the
At least you can update that, yeah.
we'll have to figure out where we had that, that's the Senate engineering, and it no longer exists.
So that data, at least that
March
March
20th
twentieth
of 2013.
Where you can see the oil.
To update the data for that.
could be, yeah, 'cause that has the overlay district.
Yeah, with the overall.
I guess that one should be on. What page?
Oh, yeah.
The GIS was updated. And that we're in the process of getting that, we'll have to have a resolution with that. That's what Jim told me. But I brought that up before, I didn't put the new map, on. He said I can't till the updated GIS, the resolution through council, to adopt the map. It'll be an ordinance, yeah, a resolution on ordinance. So it is in the works with GIS, it's just a matter of making sure we have all the changes there. Big ordinance at the top.
Got to advertise it.
Yep.
I guess my point was, if I was looking to buy property there and I,
Yeah.
on the website, it's 11 years old, but it doesn't really reflect what.
That's not.
And we have the oil and gas overlay,
That's on that.
that's not on this one.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to pass an ordinance just to put that updated one. on the
Yeah,
website.
yep.
Okay.
Cause that was been passed by ordinance.
Have a copy of
But if you took Tim's GIS updates and everything, then you could have an ordinance to bring your map in, right?
It'd be weird because you're not changing any of the zoning districts.
I know, it's weird, but it's,
necessarily.
They're doing something, that's what the GIS is doing.
And is that close to being finalized or?
I'll check with Tim, I don't know exactly how it is right now, but I know the map that's hanging in his office, he says is the most recently adopted, and that is the version that you're seeing on here, which is not the version that's in here. I don't know where.
No, that's not the most recent, but that's the most recent.
I don't know where the disconnect is.
Yeah, I remember, brother, I remember.
Newer versions, yeah.
This is the
And that
one with-
overlay, this one.
Yeah, the fracking issue.
Yeah.
And Deerfield is off. Deerfield's green.
Yeah.
I think those are the only two changes.
And there was one more, because it was originally 2013, then amended several, no, that's it.
Hasn't been amended
The
since
second
19.
one is adopted, revised, so it's only two.
And then this GIS updated June 2019, in the middle of everything. Right here, before the June 19th. June 12th, they updated based on. GIS.
So that was an underlying, not this.
Yeah.
On the digital.
And then, is that, Tim, is that what you're, Andy, is that what you guys are talking about, the GIS?
Set it for the
GIS.
Doing the.
Sam was pointing out.
local zoning overlay district.
Oh, they might have that.
Yeah.
All right, check.
That's what you're talking about. Okay, so that would have to be an ordinance, but.
Yeah, LLC might have a digital
Yes.
copy to say it's part of the. asset.
Absolutely, it was part of the,
It has the most recent version.
Okay, all right, if we can
That's
utilize
old,
that.
but I'll get that. We'll make sure.
No, that sounds good.
Right.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, kind of related to that, I was looking at another thing on the website. It's actually looking to rent a shelter. That's another story, but the other thing I found on there's a thing called the Code of Franklin Park A through L. It's kind of like our building code
That's the
standard.
appendices.
Yeah, it looks really, really old, because it's not,
Yeah.
you can see where somebody took a book and copied it and created a PDF. But it created,
WEC.
but it also contains a lot of things that I know, like, we talked about the concrete curbs, or we're not going to do it. So there's details for things that I don't believe we're gonna do any longer. And again, it's so old that you can tell it's a copy of a created PDF from Xerox. And I'm just wondering if that's something at some point would need to be updated, because if I was gonna build something, I would go to that as my reference if I'm a citizen. And I would see something that probably doesn't reflect what the true regulations. I'm sure Tim would straighten them out when they get done, but if I was planning something, I would probably wanna have the most accurate information available.
So,
Hard copy books, and that's all we have.
I mean, we've changed it so that we can change, in the Saldo ordinance, we can change the construction standards by resolution. So that one does work. But yeah, it has been just a legacy document. It's mostly public infrastructure, what the streets look like, stormwater, everything else. That'd be a good question for Sean, what they have, they usually go with whatever we have on the books, but they might have something else that could be updated. Adopted by resolution.
Well, it's just a comment, it just seemed like, it seemed like it was a little behind the time.
We're looking at maybe
I
digital.
don't want that explosion of construction.
Well,
People can't find where the zoning that is. You can give away your secrets. You can keep it. Yeah. I build a road. Well, we go down into the basement. We find this home.
Maybe it's a question for Reed, I meant to send you a note, I know you had that sidewalk request on Wexford Run Road.
I'll be responding to it tomorrow. Brian just sent that update.
Okay. I have not responded to that individual.
That's okay, that carbon.
I saw it.
Brian let him know that update.
Yeah, that we formally report that.
And that's kind of out in that stretch where you don't have homes on the left, it's like wooded, it's not really on the part of Wexford Run that has homes on both sides, it's kind of out, and his house is like straight up.
Well, yeah, I mean,
If you have to build a retaining wall.
I'll explain all those things.
Yeah,
And that is the property owners.
yeah, and the ones across the street, they did that. They got together and they put sidewalk.
So this is even past where those ones put out
Yeah.
now, this is further out.
Yeah,
But I'll be using that as an example because I'm sure he's looking at that.
he's saying, how do I do that? That's fine.
Are we talking about just south of the new townhouse, right, but on the opposite side of the street?
It'd be the opposite
Yeah.
side of the new townhomes, but it would be further and be past where Huntington Woods goes up. But before you get to where you have homes on both sides,
Okay,
there's some homes up on the hillside, like
yeah,
driveways that are going up on.
the front yard is, there's no sense mowing it. 'cause
If
there's-
he wants a sidewalk in front of his property then,
That's what I was.
I mean, the toe of the slope is about this far off.
There's no flat, there's no flat.
You would have to actually put a retaining wall in.
Yeah, great.
It'd be almost impossible to build.
Yeah,
Not cost effective.
It's super fun. Prohibitive.
I was driving through some of the King Streets the other day, and I noticed a lot of the ones over by Yulee, it's relatively newer development, but there's still no sidewalks on a lot of that.
Yeah,
What I'm saying,
phase one, yeah, the phase one stuff with the buffer and utilities,
there's a lot that doesn't have, so we have a lot of homes in the borough that don't have sidewalks, mine included. And I know people up at the upper part of Cole would like to put them in. My wife said, why don't we have sidewalks? And I said, you don't understand, the borough could not afford to put sidewalks in front of it. I mean, they would, I mean,
You do it and assess the property owners, list the claims.
yeah, but you're probably talking, I'm gonna guess you're talking an average 10 grand. By the time you do it,
no tire.
I'm gonna guess an average, but, and
Yeah.
some, you basically couldn't do it without structural retaining. And if you think about what your property taxes are for Franklin Park, I mean, I don't, mine are 300, 400, 500, I forget, I don't. Whatever they are, there, but it would take 20 years of property taxes to pay for a sidewalk in front of my house. So it's not realistic for anybody, I think, it's like, to do that.
Yeah.
That's why it's always in the cost of the land in any new development.
Yeah, yeah, actually, one recommendation, I have a comp plan in the steering committees, doesn't mention it, but if you can't put sidewalks, potentially expand the shoulder if possible, as like a walking area. So, but when you have such a hill here, logistically, it sounds like you couldn't do that. Like, what would you walk on the hill? Like, that's a 50-degree.
Yeah, it's a very steep driveway on that side up there, so. Anyway, I just wanted to be sure we were following up. And I think that I had some things for the IT that we'll get to.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. I agree. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple things. We all got an email from a resident in Settlers Walk, didn't we? Settlers Ridge, whatever that is. Got a notice of violation.
Oh,
I just wanna make sure,
Is this,
yes,
something in water?
yeah. Yeah, I just wanna, it doesn't look like there was any response to that. I just wanna make sure, unless I'm missing it. Somewhere, which is
Do
fine.
you remember the name? I can look.
Yeah,
Sanjay was the first name?
Yeah, I actually met with him,
Okay.
so I kind of know him just other friends. It's always walk. Actually, a couple months ago, whenever his house, let's take a look at the issue. It's part of it, so the way he explained it, because his patio exceeds the 400 square feet is our threshold for stormwater. Okay. Yeah, because it exceeds that, there is now, he's trying to address having with a sump pit or whatever that is. The problem is the lot. The way he was explaining it, even, it's basically that engineer that he had, when they designed it, the lot is solid concrete, so nothing is, water goes, it kind of collect there. Not that it's big, or I guess it's a pit, it just goes, when it's to be rate less, and then over time it kind of like dissipates a little bit. In this case, they wouldn't have it because it's solid concrete. for solid rock, lines. So he was trying to see if there's this potential for an alternate, maybe explore some alternatives. I think that's what he was. One alternative was to hook into the gutter system, whatever that is. We have yeah, whatever the roof gutter thing is, the thing that comes down, but there's something at the end, at the bottom, that eventually goes to another area. Looks like it either goes to the sewer drain or retention pond, whatever it is.
So you should go to the storage sewer.
Or sewer, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Probably ties directly into this.
Okay. So because the lot is solid, because of lot of the home is on a solid rock, nothing would ever drain. Let's try to see if that's one of the potential alternatives that engineer room. So it seems like the borough, based on his conversation with Tim, not the code doesn't allow it. So I think that's what it's asking is our potential alternative we can do here. Building the pit will do nothing more than just let the water, it will not drain. And that's actually another piece, because you have standing water.
I think the council discussed that.
No, it's just me going over there and talking. Just to understand the situation.
Is it an NOV or is it just he's exploring?
He got a violation, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, Max, that we discussed, that I didn't think we discussed.
We have, I mean, we get that chart and we go through and ask Tim what's going on.
Right,
It is a form of litigation. We can talk about an executive session.
Yeah.
If you want to, but, trying to be about this particular one. And, so certain size projects, we have pre-designed them and pre-engineered them, so they should be easy, that you don't have to get an engineer to do it. I don't think you can just tap into the roof leaders, they are there for a certain purpose, but there can be other, designs that are not the standard in the appendix that just says for this amount of square footage, put in this size, rock sump, you're good to go. So it might be on him, his engineer would need to propose something that will address, retaining the water and not increasing the amount that overflows without just tying it into a roof leader or something. So I don't know enough about what other options there are in terms of some form of a rain garden. It might be more substantial than the typical rock sump that pre-designed to signs off. Right.
Yeah, I don't know if there are other, how many properties have this, like my lot is solid rock. So Ryan Hump's a builder has basically put 18 inches of fill or dirt, whatever, that if I try to, like, put in a basketball pool, for example, those heavy duty industrial ones, I know that the first thing is put in base, and the instructions for the videos say dig a post 4 feet in and then pour concrete. Well, I can't like take a shovel and do that because it is rock. So
You can't get below the frost line either, can you?
I can't go very far. I mean, literally, if I take a shovel and like try to do the yard, I can't really go anywhere. So I'm imagining like there will probably other homes that have.
Well, he's saying they can't get the machinery back there to do it.
That too. Yeah, there's like it's a little bit of a hill, incline, all those things. That's another part of it. Other than it being solid rock.
Well, I guess my question was, we need to respond to him in some way.
He did say that he should come speak.
Public comment. I did advise him. I guess I talked to him on the phone. I said, hey, just want to give you a heads up. It's public comment. It's not like we're gonna vote on it or decide, hey, we will grant you a whatever, but you're welcome to come speak.
And it's
Sounds like it's a
now, brief him just because. I mean, it's
I
not
think
public.
I think Tim's on.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
but does he know that the guy's gonna come to public comment?
June 27th.
Yeah, I think he's just gonna explain the situation. That's it. Which is fine. Yeah, and we could like know, what are alternatives to the standard.
So that's a
Rocket.
Okay, as long as someone's handling it, I didn't want to just, the email to just be hanging there.
Yeah, I did talk to him,
Okay,
after he sent the email, after he called.
okay, thank you.
Well, it sounds like the peculiar nature of the property with the solid rock would be certainly a hardship that you create themselves.
Well, it's a different standard for stormwater than it's for variance.
Yeah.
I think there are exemptions of, I think you appeal to the county, it's like a county-wide system, it's a bit of a process, but
Stormwater is pretty serious.
yeah,
Remediating is pretty serious.
hence the complaints and issues we have with the one coming from the street and the
Yeah.
private owner.
So did what cause it was the 400 square foot or more than 400
Yeah,
square foot thing? they
Which
put in?
triggers it, so when you're above that, you have to have.
So there wasn't a storm, and with that came, you need a stormwater plan because you're over the square foot.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
But he already put
under,
that,
you're small enough, so it's pre-designed, but that doesn't work.
yeah. And he already put the thing in without the stormwater remediation.
Yeah.
That's what generated the NOV.
Yeah, whoever the contractor was, or Ryan, the way he explained it to me, he worked with the builder. And the builder's person,
So there we go.
Yeah, he said it. Oh,
yeah, it's old. He's expanded it, that's probably,
Yeah.
That's what triggered it.
triggered it.
Says it was constructed in 2005 and it's 550 square feet. Team two.
Well, I don't know, it's
Yeah.
mentioned the first time, and you didn't have it, 2008 was the first stormwater release.
Before that window,
205, yeah, I mean, it would have been, yeah,
but yeah, when you mentioned his job was called Rob, I was thinking,
Yeah.
I was wondering.
It's great building theory, putting stuff on solid rock. Really.
solid.
Well, the builder's argument was, nobody knew, we didn't know. And until they started digging, they're like, we just want to let you know. The good news is your house will never shift.
Mhm.
Okay.
So,
So, if there's ever a earthquake.
No, you're not getting it in ground,
Yeah.
Like that.
but you're never getting it in ground.
I couldn't do that either.
Cement pump.
Could they manage to put footers in the basement?
Yeah, at a normal basement, just like any other, they bore the cost of doing it, so.
Yeah, but that'd be.
The
Wow,
contract, the agreement was already signed and they already have a lot, and everything, so.
Put in the base.
Okay, next thing is we got an email from Julia about. What did it say? The database of policemen's conduct.
Yeah, did you get the email from my guy too?
No, I just, so I'm,
He had emailed it. So.
Mine was in the point, was spam, so I don't know if it did for anyone
oh,
else.
it may have actually.
Got
Well, again, I just want to make sure someone's responding.
Uh,
I mean, there was that
is there,
state law that was passed. There is I don't know where it is in the process, but there was supposed to be a statewide, so you could do a search, yeah, and it was like a 12-month getting it up and running type of an issue, I forget where it was, but yeah, we, as part of the background check, when you're hiring a police officer, you can check it to see if somebody was dismissed. I don't know what level of discipline it has. And there has been litigation over the DA's blacklists that they have for, officers they will not call as a witness. So credibility can be impeached because of some disciplinary action.
Right, which is available in the database for somebody to go.
I don't know about that. Those ones were more like Philadelphia really had one. Had more informal, still cause problems. But that state law, I don't know if it's publicly accessible. You could go in, or if it's somewhat restricted to somebody doing a police hire. That was a police reform the last 3 years.
there's website, there's already a website,
I don't know if there's a website. There's a database.
7.
And I think what Max is saying, it wouldn't be publicly accessible, it's for police hires, and the reason is they want to make certain that somebody, there was misconduct in one, yeah, that's it. So you can't move from one department to another secretly with them not knowing, what you did at the other.
Resident.
Because I think in the old days, it just got neutral. Yeah, they worked here from this date to this day.
Which should have been.
Yeah, it used to be. It used to be when somebody said, yeah, I can confirm for you that they worked from this date to this date. No, with no color at all. Yeah.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh, maybe the county. I think the county did it. I did not realize it was a state.
Yeah.
Response.
So what do we
Do yours.
respond?
Is this just the Julie?
Yeah.
No, I got one, I don't know if he took all this individually or not.
I may have gotten it.
I mean, we're
and
just
then-
little from.
His name, Darius Thomas.
Nobody's asked our opinion, and I don't think we have any.
Somebody can, I mean, do a rate to know request for grievance materials. They don't get any final awards, they get the final, or any opinions or anything like that. Facts,
So
they
just
get
get
one
this-
page.
Yeah.
And that's the extent for right to know.
You know,
Well, that happens, a personnel matter.
so it falls under the umbrella of privilege.
Okay.
He's asking for, this to a database of police misconduct settlements.
Right. I don't know what that is.
Sure, we even have
I
any,
mean, it would be
I can't think
pretty easy, yeah.
Not certain that we would be doing that anyway, it just sounds like it's in the wrong. It's running afoul of a bunch of things. Right.
Problematic for the employer.
I can
If
respond.
somebody wanted to do it.
Do you have the email? Read the email.
You're on, yeah, Julia forwarded it to you.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, a couple other things. I spoke to a resident earlier today about the tree ordinance. This probably is not the best. Well, maybe it is to get, I mean, a lot of concerns. So he's probably as soon as gonna come next week, during the public comment. So I don't know, I need to go over all his concerns here. Some of them I thought might be worth considering. But I just want to let you all know that I heard some feedback on them, like, I will give you a couple just really quickly. He's concerned about the 10 acres, that we're moving it to 7 or 8 acres. And another big one was replacing 1 acre to 1/4 replacement. He brought up the point that in a lot of other environmental realms, if you disturb something, then you have to replace like double that. So maybe that ratio is a little bit small. So it's something that we might. And like I said, he's gonna come next week for public comment, probably raise all these points, but
Yeah, okay,
That's good.
that's good. Those are items that they strengthen the ordinance, right?
correct.
Is the way I'm interpreting, okay. There's always opportunity like update the ordinance after that, based on how it goes. Yeah.
And I,
I
said to him, I think any progress
Okay.
is good progress, but he was kind of, and I mean, he went through it with a bunch of count and had a lot of feedback, but, some points we may consider, but I'll let him.
Yeah, of
present
course.
them. Arguments.
And any of these changes would kind of reset the clock, right? You, yeah, right.
We already got our county stuff, we already advertised. and all that. I'm not inclined to go backwards on it and pull it, I'm inclined to go forward with it, and then we can always tweak it, with further.
Yeah, I think, yeah, actually, that's a good approach,
Yeah.
because then you can see how it's working.
I think that's fine, especially on this, I'd like to do something rather than nothing, but that's also the point of the public comment period,
Yeah.
right, is to get feedback and possibly alter it. So it's,
Yeah.
And then one more quick thing, another resident, maybe he spoke to you reached over the course of the months, he is looking to buy the old daycare at Reese Run and Ingmar.
See that,
Um,
been there, yeah.
He's been in contact with the owner, hopefully he's looking to make it into like a deli, restaurant.
You won't fit them.
Well, I'm just telling you what he's telling me.
Somebody already tried, I don't, not that, but we already went through that, and it's grandfathered for
For that day.
for a daycare use, so when you do.
Conditional use, it was approved, that it was allowed.
Somebody else proposed that for
When was
about
that?
2 or 3 years ago. They wanted to put like a coffee shop, tea shop or something. I actually thought that would be nice.
Everybody likes the idea, right?
But
It's just that it's not so.
It's not that area not zoned for it. It's
Right.
not even zoned for daycare, but it was great daycare that could just be, it was grandfathered in.
It is, and then if you look at the street files, as long as they comply with everything that has to do with it, which we got into a battle with them over the size of the McDonald's playthings at one point, I remember the discussion about that, hearing. So, at least I remember it for zoning, I don't know if it hit the council, but I remember doing direct exam on the little lady that lived next to.
Well, that's something I could just see now. I think he's gonna probably at least go through the hearing board, which I told him probably will not get approved, but that's my opinion, not the reflection of council.
Yeah.
So, anyway, something that might be coming out.
Yes, bringing on.
They're working toward it. He doesn't yet. Well, we haven't taken applications. Yet. But I mean, they're in the comprehensive plan. That's something we got feedback on. People wanted more restaurants. So, I mean, there's lots of procedural things we'd have to go through to get to that point, but it's like making you aware that this is happening. And if he does not get to the zoning hearing board, which I assume he's not going to, you know, or planning. Commission. And that's it.
I think I talked about what my concern was with the West Ingomar thing. I think we covered that pretty exhaustively. I did have something for the IT policy manual when we go into executive session. Yeah.
Good. All right. Cool. Should we go into executive?
Yeah.
Session?